I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking, selfish? What? Portia, you wanted to be selfish? Oh my God. If you're anything like me, you were raised not to be selfish. Being selfish was looked at as a terrible thing. What I mean by being mentally selfish is choosing what you decide to focus on. Being selfish with your thoughts. Being selfish with what you are choosing to spend your mental effort on. If we're thinking all day, every day, think about how many of your thoughts are a result of you observing something, listening to somebody else, listening to their opinion, hearing gossip or drama about other people's lives or experiences, about what's going on in the media. If you're scrolling, just think about how much of your thinking is not really chosen by you. It's more so a reaction instead of a choice. Instead of you're choosing the direction your thoughts are going in, instead of just reacting to whatever life is handing to you, that's what you're thinking about. So what I mean by being mentally selfish is you decide what you are going to choose to think about and put your mental energy on and focus on. Think about the last time you actively chose to focus on something that would make you feel better, or focus on something that's beneficial to your well-being and to your life. Just think about it. Like, when was the last time you actively was like, you know what, I am not gonna think about that right now. This is frustrating me. I'm gonna redirect and focus on something else. And I think redirecting our thoughts and choosing what we decide to spend our mental energy on, it's a great act of self-care. It is a form of being selfish. Like, no, I know how powerful my focus is. I don't want to just be focusing on things that aren't going to be beneficial to me. And some things that aren't beneficial to you sometimes are other people's business, what everybody else got going on. When it was the last time you decided to just drown out the noise of the peanut gallery and just really focus on what you wanted to focus on, whether that be working out, whether that be work, whether that be a mindless creative hobby, whether that be being present and spending time with loved ones, like, but in a way where it's good for you, in a way where it feels good to you. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being mentally selfish in that way. If you're anything like me, you're a person that feels deeply. So when you are sharing your focus and your energy and your mental space with other people, or even with what's going on out in the world, if you're like me, you feel what other people are feeling. It can be easy to kind of enmesh and merge with the feelings of others. But when you learn how to listen in a way where you're observing and not absorbing, you can hold space and be supportive in a way where it's not also energetically consuming you to the point where you're thinking about it for hours and days and weeks and months later. Then that's the sweet spot, I feel like, when you have the mental discipline to know how to be present with another person, but then when the moment's over and it's time for you to get back to what you need to be doing, you know how to get back to focusing on what you need to focus on, whatever that looks like for you for the day. I know for me, when I say that I feel deeply, there are certain emotions that I can feel in my body in a negative way. So for example, worry is an emotion that I feel deeply, and it'll result into either physical pain or anxiety or sweat or whatever, right? Same thing with negative emotions like anger and frustration and just anything that can cause your nervous system to be out of balance and pretty much just dysregulated. That is when I have a physical response. Sometimes my stomach will turn into knots. Sometimes I will have stomach pain or other physical pain. It will show up if it's prolonged. If I am focused on something that is making me worry or anxious, whether I'm thinking about somebody else's situation or whether I'm focused on the past, like a past experience, or whether I'm worried about the future, wherever my focus is, depending on what those thoughts are, I will have a physical response in my body. Knowing that with myself, that has inspired me to focus on being more mentally selfish, because I know how certain thoughts affect me. I've paid attention enough to where I can pinpoint what I was thinking about for a long time and the physical pain that followed. So if you're anything like me, it's really essential that you are mentally selfish, because if you are a highly sensitive person, it's imperative that we learn how to do this. It's a skill that you have to grow so that you can have a balanced nervous system. I mean, we can't avoid all pain, but you do have control over what you choose to focus on. That's my point here. You can choose to allow yourself to go in a spiral where your thoughts are leading to feelings of worry and anxiety and anger and grief and all those things. Or you can choose to focus in a direction that's more uplifting, that makes you feel good. Like if I'm gonna think about a past situation, I wanna think about something that's hilarious or a beautiful memory that I wish that I could recreate again, or something that just fills me with appreciation. I want to focus on stuff like that. If I'm going to be thinking about the future, I want to think from a place of excitement and anticipation and optimism and hopefulness. I don't want to think about my future in a way that's causing me worry or stress or anxiety. So if I'm gonna think about things, I wanna think about things in a way that is beneficial to my well-being. And that's why I'm also encouraging you to do the same. But it does take a certain amount of mental selfishness. There's no way around it. If you're not mentally selfish and you don't choose to be selfish enough to decide, no, I wanna think thoughts that feel good in my body. I wanna think thoughts that I know are gonna help me get through the day with a little more ease. I want to train myself. I want to build that mental muscle where now I'm unconsciously competent at just thinking in a way where it benefits me. I want to learn how to have my mind on my side. That's what it means to be mentally selfish. Mentally selfish doesn't mean you don't think about anybody else. You don't care if you hurt people. You don't care how your actions impact other people. You have no empathy. That is not what being mentally selfish means. Mentally selfish means that you are thinking in a way that's beneficial not only for you but also for other people. If I'm gonna think about my life in a way where I want to feel hope and optimism, guess what? If I'm doing that for myself, it's only natural that I'm going to also think that way when I'm focused on my loved ones. If my loved ones are going through a tough time, it would be easy to start worrying about them and feel fearful about things and possibly expecting the worst. That's an easy thing to do. And it's also just kind of natural, right, for us humans to do that, because thinking is a survival mechanism. You think of worst case scenarios because it's essential for survival, especially like early humans. They had to think of all the worst case scenarios so that they could be ahead of the game, so that they would not lose their life. It was serious out there in the wild back in the day, y'all. So it's just easy to think of worst case scenarios. But if I'm training myself to have the mental discipline to focus in ways that is going to benefit my life, if my loved ones are going through something, I'm going to focus in a way where I am not worried, where I have faith that things are going to work out for them, where I know in my bones that they are going to have a solution or an outcome that's going to be amazing for them, that they will receive with ease. And I have to hold that space, whether they believe that for themselves or not. I'm going to believe that for them. There is still power in that. You can call it delusional, you can call it whatever the word you want to call it. I call it just having faith and just expecting the best. If it's easy to expect the worst, we can retrain ourselves to expect the best. And whatever happens, it's gonna happen anyway, right? Like whatever the outcome is gonna be, the outcome is gonna be anyway. So we can deal with whatever the circumstances might be when the time comes. But if in the moment we don't know, I'm gonna choose to feel and think what's gonna be best, what I would want to happen. You can skillfully do this in a way where you're not projecting and putting this on the other person. You can do it in a way where even if you don't tell them, you're still hoping the best, you're still wishing the best, because you know, you don't want to tell people what they should be feeling or how they should be feeling. You do want to hold space and acknowledge wherever they are, but you can still, in the back of your mind, with your mental energy, you can focus in a way where it's going to benefit them. You know in your heart the best possible solution will show up for them. That is what I mean. You're still being mentally selfish in a way where you're being selfish for both of you. You're thinking the best possible outcome, because not only is it good for them, it's good for you too. It feels good in your body when you think thoughts like that. I would encourage you to just try it. Think about an amazing outcome. Think about receiving that thing you really want and how that would make you feel. And you could feel the joy in your body. You could feel the excitement. Think about somebody you know who's going through something, and just think about the best case scenario that could happen for that person's situation, and feel how joyful you feel how happy you feel. The anxiousness and the worry, it does come from feelings of lack of control, but we just have to just kind of accept that we don't have control over how things are going to unfold, but you do have control over the flow and direction of your thinking. And that's why I encourage us all to build this mental muscle of learning how to be mentally selfish, learning how to do this in a way where your thinking benefits you. It's possible, it can happen, but it takes time, and it does take patience, and it does take grace. Don't beat yourself up if your mind does spiral. Don't beat yourself up if you do have a moment. If you still feel worried and anxious, don't beat yourself up. No. Just trust yourself in the fact that you know what, if I can feel this way, I can feel the opposite. If I can think this way, I can think in the opposite direction. You got this. Trust me, you got this. This is what I choose to focus on right now as I'm focusing on being more mentally selfish. I'm focused on my mental health and working through my own emotions and dealing with my own stuff. I'm focused on reading books and learning, and I'm also focused on improving personal finance. I'm focused on listening to people who have experiences that I want, or listening to people who are more knowledgeable in certain areas that I am interested in. I'm focused on fitness. I'm focused on making sure I'm taking my daily supplements. I'm focused on making sure that I'm thinking good thoughts throughout the day. Whatever that looks like for me, whatever that feels like in the moment, I'm making sure I'm not spending my time ruminating and focusing on past situations that I can't change or worrying about the future. I'm focused more on being present. I'm focused more on appreciating all the good things in my life and all of the blessings. It can be easy to get hung up on something that frustrates us, and you have every right, and you are allowed to feel what you feel, but choosing to redirect and realizing, like, you know what, I could get hung up on that, but what about all the other amazing things going on in my life right now? We have the freedom to focus on what we want, and that is our superpower. That's what I want to remind you to always remember. No matter how things appear to be going on externally, you do have control over what's going on mentally if you decide to focus on improving that area. Being mentally selfish is not a bad thing. It's an empowering thing. It's you respecting your own energy. It's you showing yourself that you matter by choosing what you want to focus on and spend your energy on. It's a muscle that must be built every single day, forever, but it does get easier. I encourage you to spend your mental energy being your biggest ally, not your biggest hater, and hopefully not anyone else's biggest hater either. You've got so much that you could be focused on. Like, you could literally choose anything. I just hope that whatever you choose to focus on brings you relief and makes you proud of yourself. I'm sending so much love. I can't wait to chit chat in the next video. Leave a comment if anything I said resonated, if even if one thing was helpful, and I will see y'all in the next video.